Picture this, a successful black CEO, driving his luxury car through an upscale neighborhood. Suddenly, flashing lights appear in his rearview mirror. What happens next will leave you shocked and questioning everything you thought you knew about justice in America. In a twist that seems straight out of a Hollywood thriller, a black CEO found himself in a surreal situation that would change the course of his life and shake up an entire police department. Buckle up, folks, because this story is about to take you on a wild ride through the dark underbelly of racial profiling and the unexpected consequences that followed. It was a crisp autumn evening when Michael Johnson, the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, decided to take his brand new Tesla Model S for a spin around his affluent neighborhood. Little did he know that this routine drive would turn into a nightmare that would make national headlines and expose the deep-rooted issues plaguing our society. As Johnson cruised down the tree-lined streets, he noticed a police cruiser tailing him. At first, he thought nothing of it. After all, he was a law-abiding citizen with a spotless record. But when the sirens blared and the lights started flashing, Johnson's heart sank. He knew all too well the potential dangers that could arise from a traffic stop, especially for a black man in America. Pulling over to the side of the road, Johnson took a deep breath and prepared himself for what was to come. The officer approached the vehicle, his hand resting on his holstered weapon. "Step out of the car, sir," the officer demanded, his voice laced with suspicion and hostility. Johnson, knowing his rights but also aware of the delicate situation, calmly asked, "May I ask why I'm being stopped, officer?" The response he received would send shockwaves through the community and ignite a firestorm of controversy. "This vehicle has been reported stolen," the officer barked, his eyes narrowing as he scrutinized Johnson. "I'm going to need you to exit the vehicle immediately and place your hands where I can see them." In that moment, time seemed to stand still. Johnson's mind raced as he tried to process the absurdity of the situation. How could he, a successful CEO, be accused of stealing his own car? The irony was not lost on him, but the gravity of the situation left no room for laughter. As Johnson slowly stepped out of the car, he could feel the eyes of curious onlookers burning into him. Neighbors he had waved to just moments ago now watched in stunned silence, as he was treated like a common criminal. The humiliation was palpable, but Johnson knew he had to remain calm and collected. "Officer, there must be some mistake," Johnson said, his voice steady despite the fear coursing through his veins. "This is my car. I purchased it just last week. I have the paperwork in the glove compartment." But the officer was unmoved. "Sure, buddy. That's what they all say," he sneered, reaching for his handcuffs. "Turn around and put your hands behind your back." As the cold metal clasped around his wrists, Johnson felt a mix of anger, frustration, and disbelief. How could this be happening in 2023? How could a man of his stature be subjected to such blatant racial profiling? But just as all hope seemed lost, a voice of reason cut through the tension. Another officer, who had arrived on the scene as backup, recognized Johnson from a recent charity event. "Wait a minute," the second officer called out. "I know this man. He's Michael Johnson, the CEO of Tech Innovate. There's no way he stole this car." The first officer's face contorted in a mix of confusion and embarrassment. Reluctantly, he removed the handcuffs from Johnson's wrists, muttering a half-hearted apology. But for Johnson, the damage had already been done. In the days that followed, the incident sparked outrage across the nation. Social media exploded with hashtags demanding justice for Johnson and calling for an end to racial profiling. News outlets picked up the story, running headlines that highlighted the absurdity of a black CEO being accused of stealing his own luxury vehicle. As public pressure mounted, the mayor of the city was forced to take action. In a press conference that would go down in history, he announced the immediate firing of the police chief and a complete overhaul of the department's policies and training procedures. "What happened to Mr. Johnson is unacceptable and goes against everything our city stands for," the mayor declared, his voice trembling with a mix of anger and determination. "We must do better. We will do better." The fired police chief, visibly shaken by the turn of events, attempted to defend his department's actions. "We were just following protocol," he stammered. How were we supposed to know he was a CEO? But his words fell on deaf ears. The public had spoken, and the message was clear. No one, regardless of their position or status, should be subjected to such blatant discrimination and humiliation. In the aftermath of the incident, Johnson found himself thrust into the spotlight as an unlikely champion for racial justice. Speaking at rallies and conferences across the country, he shared his harrowing experience and called for sweeping reforms in law enforcement. "What happened to me was not an isolated incident," Johnson would often say, his voice filled with passion and conviction. "It's a symptom of a much larger problem that has plagued our society. For far too long, we must confront this issue head-on and work together to create a more just and equitable system for all." The incident also sparked a national conversation about the prevalence of racial profiling and the need for better training and accountability in police departments. Many cities across the country began implementing new policies and procedures aimed at reducing bias and improving community relations. But perhaps the most surprising outcome of the whole ordeal was the unlikely friendship that formed between Johnson and the second officer who had recognized him that fateful night. Officer David Martinez, inspired by Johnson's grace and determination in the face of adversity, became a vocal advocate for police reform within his own department. Together, Johnson and Martinez started a nonprofit organization dedicated to bridging the gap between law enforcement and communities of color. Their work has since been recognized by the White House and has led to tangible changes in police departments across the nation. As for the Tesla that started it all, Johnson decided to auction it off and donate the proceeds to organizations working to combat racial injustice. The car, now a symbol of resilience and the fight for equality, fetched a staggering sum at auction, with bidders eager to own a piece of this remarkable story. In the end, what began as a nightmarish experience for one man became a catalyst for change that would impact countless lives. It serves as a powerful reminder that even in our darkest moments, there is always hope for a brighter, more just future. So the next time you see flashing lights in your rearview mirror, remember the story of Michael Johnson, the black CEO who turned a moment of injustice into a movement for change. It's a testament to the power of resilience, the importance of speaking truth to power, and the potential for positive transformation that exists within each of us. In a world that often seems divided and filled with darkness, stories like this remind us that change is possible, justice can prevail, and that sometimes the most unexpected events can lead to the most profound and lasting impact. As we continue to grapple with issues of race and equality in America, let Michael Johnson's story serve as both a warning and an inspiration, a call to action for all of us to work towards a more just and equitable society for all.